And then the big car and
It's
stuff.
very eclectic.
Yeah, I especially like this mural right here. It's a mural of a waterfall right by the bathroom.
So when you have to wait 20 minutes, you see running water.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic idea. I used your cup.
What?
Well, hey gang, thanks for joining us here today. As always, I'm Landon.
And I'm Deon.
And we're the guys who like to eat. We've got a very special episode for you today. We're coming from near downtown Fresno in one of our favorite places.
That's right. We are here today at Full Circle Brewery.
It's true. Now, we like to go out and have a pint every once in a blue moon. However, most of those places import their beer. Right here, we brew and drink our very own beer. It's a beautiful thing.
That's right. Everything's homegrown, just how we like it. Here in town, here in Fresno.
So join us today for a full tour of Full Circle Brewery.
We are finally at the bar with our good friend, Don Anderson. Don, how you doing today?
Great, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hey,
This is
thanks
quite
for
a
coming
place.
in.
This is a really neat location. I know it's got an interesting history behind it. So tell me a little bit about that. What was this place originally?
Well, from what I understand, it was built in 1950 for the post office. It was their garage where they serviced their little Jeeps.
What prompted you to get into brewing beer?
I started as a hobby back in 1983. Went up to Napa to visit my sister and brother-in-law. He's a woodworker, so I'm thinking I'm going to see a cabinet or something. He's got these glass bottles bubbling away, you know, and he says, yeah, I'm making beer. So we drank beer and got all, happy. And so the next day he took me over to the homebrew supply store there, and I met the guy that was operating it, Byron Birch, who's a legend in the homebrewing industry. I left with some plastic buckets and a couple of bags of goo and some other stuff, and
All what the yummy stuff is made out
started
of,
making
yeah.
beer.
So since '83, you've been kind of mastering and mixing, where you have your own signature recipes for beer.
Well, actually, my partner Bill, he's developed all of our recipes. He's a real master brewer, and he's a recognized, certified beer judge. So I leave all that up to Bill, because he does a great job with it.
He's got a doctorate in hooch. That takes some time. That's a beautiful thing.
Tell us a little bit about the live venues that come in here and play.
Well, we feature a lot of different kinds of entertainments here. We're looking for things that are a little bit obscure, things like our belly dancing shows, burlesque shows, vaudeville acts and things, Caribbean music at times. We've had steel drum band, all kinds of different things.
And your poetry night's pretty popular too.
Poetry has been a real successful thing here. Inner Ear Poetry Jam. So they've been here for over 6 years.
My next piece is entitled Wavelength. You're really eclectic with the entertainment that you offer here, but you're really eclectic also in the beverages that you provide. I mean, there's a lot of
Absolutely.
different stuff behind the bar, so show us a little bit of that, some of your specialties and what you offer the public.
Sure.
Oh my.
We'll go from lightest to darkest here.
Okay.
This is our American Wheat Ale. This is our Clusterfuggle Cream Ale. That's our signature beer.
Okay.
A clusterfuggle.
Clusterfuggle. That's named for the two hops that are in the beer, the cluster hop and the fuggle hop. This is our red ale. Here's brown. This is our 1850 London Porter. And our deepest, darkest, richest beer, our Russian Imperial Stout at 11% alcohol.
Wow.
My goodness.
11%.
So what makes them darker or lighter is the roast on the malt. The longer they roast them, the darker they get.
Really?
And the deeper and richer the flavors become.
I see. So that denotes the coloration. How does it affect the alcohol content?
The amount of fermentable sugar that you get, that is going to tell you how much alcohol you can get out of it.
I see.
The grain bill that's in the porter is exactly doubled to produce the Russian Imperial Stout.
Okay, so this is the American Wheat Ale. That's really good. So tell me a little bit about this, the American wheat beer.
Well, it's made with about 10% wheat malt in it. All the beers are made from about 90% pale malt. The other 10% makes up different characteristics of the beer, the colors and the intense flavors of the darker.
That's really good.
I think I have the signature beer here, yes?
Yes,
Is
you
that what
do.
this is? This is our, I don't want to get the name wrong here.
Say it slow then.
Clusterfuggle?
That's it.
All right, that makes me happy. Ooh, you got me a little topped off here. It's really smooth. Yeah, it's very smooth.
Yeah, cream ale. Reminiscent of a time just after Prohibition, when the American brewers were trying to get back into the swing of things. They're competing with the Europeans, the light pilsners and that. So they developed this cream ale style back in the East Coast. But what makes these beers unique is they're made with some kind of adjunct in there with the pale malt. Your choices are corn, oats, or rice. Those things add creaminess or velvetiness to the texture of the beer.
There's almost no aftertaste to this. I mean, you have it and
It's
it just
very
sort of
clean
lingers
finish,
for a minute.
right.
It is very clean.
Cool.
What have you got there?
I've got the red ale. This is really a full-bodied flavor. Man, it is really good. I've never really been a fan of the red beers until I had this one. I think this is my new favorite, everybody. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I'm a grown-up boy now. This is another new experience for me. I've never drank a beer this dark before. I mean, you cannot see through a piece of this.
Russian Imperial Stout.
All right. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. It is very thick. I mean, it almost doesn't feel liquid when you're drinking it. But actually, it's not nearly as sharp as you think. And I'm tasting almost like a citrus in this or something.
A little sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for letting us come and taste all of these great quality beers that you provide for the public. Do you think it'd be okay maybe if you showed us around? Maybe you can go through the process with us of how it's made?
Oh, absolutely. Let's head over to the brew house.
Oh, we're going to see where the magic happens. This is exciting. I feel like I'm going to Disneyland.
I know.
Here we are in the center of all the brewing glory. This is the chocolate factory to the Charlie, if you will. And we're going to go ahead and start off on how we make beer, which I'm assuming is a giant dragon box of doom. Is that what this is?
Well, this is the mash tun. Put the grain in there with the hot water. You let it steep for a while.
Like tea.
Like tea or coffee. Then we want to collect all of that liquid, which we now call the wort. Okay, we want to collect our wort so we can put it in the boiler and make beer out of it.
So Don is showing us the world's largest piggy bank, which holds $1,233,000 worth of pennies. I'm just kidding. Don, what is this?
This is our boiling kettle. And once we've pumped the wort from the mash tun over here to the kettle, filled up the kettle, it's fired by steam, so you can see the coil down in the bottom there. We got the wort in there. We throw in our first hop addition, let it boil for an hour or so. Throw in our second hop addition, let it boil for another 5 minutes, shut it all down, let it steep for an hour, and then take it through the heat exchanger. These two tubes here, we bring cold water into the bottom one. The beer would be pumped into the top up here, and as they pass by each other, they exchange the heat. So the beer will come down to about 70 degrees as it's headed that way, and the water is collected in this big tank back here. We use the hot water for cleanup afterwards, so we try to reuse it, stay neutral as we can with wasting the water. The beer's gone down that way, heads into the fermentation room there, and then we introduce the yeast and wait.
So this is the fermentation room, huh?
Absolutely. These are the fermentation tanks.
Yeah, I feel like I scored really low on my ASMAP and I got put in the bowels of a submarine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very insulated and dense in here, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is where it all happens, huh?
Yes. Once the beer comes from the heat exchanger, comes this way, fill up the tank here, introduce the yeast, converts the fermentable sugars to alcohol, with the byproduct being carbon dioxide. That creates the carbonation.
There's so much science in this.
You
have to be a mad scientist in order to get all this.
No, I try not to think about that. I consider myself more of a cook. So that's the process. All that's left is to keg up the beer and drink it.
Beautiful. So let me ask you, what do you do when there's trouble brewing?
What do you mean by trouble?
See, trouble brewing.
Oh, what a jerk.
Another really special thing about Full Circle is their collection of gigantic sculptures. I'm actually sitting under an enormous safety pin right now, and on the other side of the room is the gigantic diaper it belonged to. Pointy. Well, we had a blast today, and I hope you guys did too. Don, thank you so much for everything. You guys were amazingly hospitable. You got a wonderful place here, and thank you to everyone here at Full Circle. We really appreciate it.
It's been a real fun time.
Well, I hope so. I'm Deon Gonzalez.
I'm Landon Weisbrod,
This is Don. We're the guys who like to eat.
and we'll see you next time. The phase angle of one wave can be specified only with respect to another as reference.
Man, this guy is a jerk.
Yep.
Get a couple of stouts in me and get loosey-goosey here.